Welcome to another edition of Courageous Conversations Live. I'm your host, Pierre Quinn, and here on Courageous Conversations, we're leveraging the stories of creatives, of leaders, of entrepreneurs to help you live and lead with greater courage. I am super excited about today's conversation. It's going to be a special treat. It's going to be a lot of mic drop moments. I hope you got something to write with today because we're going to give you overload today. I'm joined today by the king of client attraction, Marquel Russell. Mr. Russell, thanks for being my guest today.
Man, thank you so much for having me, Pierre. Man, I'm loving your work, man. Super grateful to be here, and I'm looking forward to serve at the highest level possible.
Man, we're gonna have a great time today. Listen, if you're just stopping the scroll, this is your first time checking out Courageous Conversations Live. You want to stop. You want to park right here with us for the next 20 minutes. And as you're parked with us, go ahead and hop in that comment section. I know a lot of people are watching on LinkedIn, but also Facebook and YouTube as well. Hop in that comment section. We love doing shout outs here on Courageous Conversations Live. You got a question? I know you're gonna have some questions for Marquel. Drop those in the comment section. We'll answer as many as we possibly can, and hit the share button because you don't want to keep all of this good stuff to yourself. Don't be stingy, y'all. Not especially not today. So we got Philip Wesley, Dr. Philip Wesley, checking in with us on LinkedIn, and Shakita Lee, my social media guru, checking in with us on LinkedIn Live as well. Marquel, give us, man, that elevator pitch, that 60-second Cliff Notes version summary about who you are and what you do.
So I'm Marquel Russell. A lot of people call me the king of client attraction. Our superpower is helping coaches and consultants and service providers attract clients on autopilot so they can actually scale their business to the 7-figure mark and beyond while working 50% less.
Man, so I know as you said that, and we got Rochelle checking in with us as well, ears perked up. People are saying, wait, what, wait a minute, scale, autopilot,
yeah,
6-7 figure. Okay, I'm sitting up. I'm paying attention now. That's what people are saying. Hopefully, you got something to write with. Leighton is checking in with us from Florida. Give us the backstory, man. I mean, I've watched a lot of your videos. I'm on your email list. I see a lot of your ads. I see you stepping out of cars and
for sure.
talking to people with a mask on. But give me the background, the backstory about how you got to this place to be even known as a king of client attraction.
Yeah, man, it's really interesting. So to be honest with you, man, I'm probably the least qualified person on paper that you even had on the show to talk about business, right? So I actually dropped out of high school in 10th grade. So I got a ninth grade education, start selling drugs at a young age because everywhere I'm from, everybody wanted to grow up and get a job working for the city, right? That was like the ideal job. For me, I wasn't really trying to hear all that. I wanted to be rich. And then I ain't know nobody who was rich. So I wasn't really listening to nobody's advice who wasn't rich. The people who I saw as rich were my cousins who were selling drugs. So I went that route, started selling drugs, dropped out of high school in 10th grade, went full-time in the streets, had my first son when I was 19. Not only did I have my first son when I was 19, but I also was locked up for my 19th birthday. So I got out, said I was going to do the job thing. That didn't really work out. Fast forward, jumped back in the streets, started an entertainment company where I was doing artist management, club promotions, and things of that nature. And while I was in the club one night, sipping Patron and smoking blunts, my whole thing that I was doing at the time, I was introduced to network marketing. So I didn't know what network marketing was. I was just invited to an event with this opportunity where people was talking about making millions, and I jumped in. And that didn't go to where I wanted to go. However, it introduced me to personal development, and it introduced me to direct response marketing, right? And when it introduced me to direct response marketing, that showed me how I could actually become the hunted, not the hunter. So I didn't have to go out looking for people. I could have people seeking me out. And I just was fascinated by this whole idea. And I was like, man, nobody's teaching this stuff that looks like me. So I was like, if I can master this, imagine the amount of people I can expose this to who aren't really privy to this information. So I jumped in head first, was a student, learned the game, started implementing. I didn't implement it immediately. I was just consuming information, literally went broke, just buying courses. My wife now, who's my girlfriend at the time, she was paying all the bills and everything because I went broke trying to learn all this stuff. But I started implementing, started getting some momentum, started building a brand. People started seeking me out, asking me how they could pay me to help them. Then I discovered that coaching was a thing, and I didn't even know that was a real thing. But I started coaching and people was paying me, and then we started increasing the prices. And at this time I was still doing network marketing a little bit and still doing some coaching. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna go all in on my own thing, something I actually own. And that has now become Client Attraction University. And to date, we've helped our clients do over $250 million in revenue. And that number continues to grow by the minute.
Okay. So some of y'all, in this space, you're trying to figure out, who is Pierre? Who is Marquel? Who are these guys? What are they even talking about? But when you heard $250 million, you sat up straight in your chair or you stopped whatever you were doing. The Courageous Conversations Live, hanging out with Marquel Russell, the king of client attraction. So I was watching a video that you posted not too long ago, and you talked about transferable skills. You were talking about learning the game in the digital marketing space, but some skills that you transferred really from the streets and really from the drug game. And if you could break that down a little bit for us, and I know there's some entrepreneurs, there's some leaders here who don't come from inner city environments or never been in drugs or don't even know that lens, but they're shorting themselves because they're not recognizing their transferable skills. So if you could kind of do some micro teaching and break that down for us.
Oh, for sure. So, because that's a question I get a lot. So I was like, let me make a video about this, because people ask me like, Marquel, what was the transferable skills from the streets to, what you're doing now? And thank you so much. Come on. I don't, Mr. Hines. I'm gonna call you Mr. Hines, man. Come on. Okay. Appreciate you. Come on, man. So basically a lot of people ask me like, Marquel, what's the transferable skills from the streets to like building multi-million-dollar businesses and so forth? And and I always say all of the skills are transferable. Number one, you got to know how to sell. Whatever world you're in, you got to know how to sell, right? So that's number one. Number two, marketing, right? So you got to know how to get people to you. So regardless of where you are, how do you get people to you? For me, for some people in the streets, like some people are on the block, right? They stand on the block. People pull up on a specific corner, right? And people know what corners to pull up on. Me, when I was growing up, that never really made sense to me when I was in the streets to like stand on a specific block or a specific store, because I just felt like eventually the police is going to pull up. They got cameras out here probably. So that never sat well with me. So when I first jumped out in the street, this one we had beepers. So I was in school. I was still in school then, but I had a beeper. And I was like, you got to beat me and then you can pull up on that and then we'll go from there. And then it rolled out. Then the Nokia phones. You remember the Nokia phones you can get minutes on?
Yeah.
I had got a Nokia phone. So I just kind of worked a little bit different. I'm like 16, 17 years old, but standing on the block, it just never made sense to me. So you got to understand marketing. How do you get people to you? So that's number two, transferable skill. You got to have that if you're going to build a business. Number three, you got to have some level of leadership. So leadership to me isn't about being a boss. Leadership is about influence, right? And the way you got to have some level of influence, especially in the streets, or you're going to be fooled, right? So if people don't see you and you don't have some level of it, I ain't saying you got to be the hardest dude on the block. You got to be some tough guy. I ain't saying none of that, but you got to have some level of influence where it's understood. Otherwise, you won't survive because it's a jungle. You know what I'm saying? So you got to have, and it's the same thing in business. Like you got to still have some level of leadership and influence. Not that you're a boss and not none of that, or you're a tough guy, none of that. But you got to have some level of influence where it's understood. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. So that's number three. And I always tell people, you can always tell the people who come into the social media world and now they're in social media influencers, but they never had any influence before they got followers and all that, because you can tell how they treat people. So it's like, you can tell they're newer to money. They're newer to influence. And you can always, you can look on the internet and scroll through Instagram and you know who's who, right? We don't got to say no names under that, but leadership, that's number three. Number four, you got to have some level of critical thinking. And the critical and strategic thinking. When you're in the streets, it's a lot happening at one time, and it's moving really fast. You don't know who's out to get you. Obviously you got the police, you got the robbers, but then you got the ladies who you want to kick it with, who could be setting you up. You got the homies who you with every day, who could be pinching out or trying to take something, and you got family. So you don't really know. So you gotta always have your head on the swivel, right? So like for me, I wasn't a guy who did all different types of drugs and all that. That ain't no bashing nobody, nothing like that. I used to smoke my little weed, drink a little bit every now and then when we was doing that, but I had to keep my head sharp because I'm like watching, and because it's a lot happening at the speed of light. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing in business. You got to be able to think critically. You got to be able to think on your toes. You got to be able to make adjustments. Or something like COVID happens, you either cancel 2020 like most people did, or you figure out, okay, where's the opportunity in this, and you pivot, and then you make 2020 your best year ever, like we did, because we were on the swivel and making those specific situations. Three more things. Number one is branding, right? So branding in the hood, you know, like it's like, okay, you know, such and such up on top of the hill, he got the good, but it's gonna cost you a little bit more. But if you go around the back, you can get a little bit cheaper, but it ain't gonna be that. That's branding. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you go to Chick-fil-A, you know the service you're gonna get. You go to McDonald's, you're gonna get a different level of service. That's branding. The last two is customer service. Like if you want people to come back and continue to do business with you, especially if you don't want them to come back and rob you, you got to have some level of customer service. Like you can't treat people any type of way and talk to people any type of way and think it's gonna be all good. Something ain't gonna go well. So customer service, and you got to do the same thing in the business world. You got to take care of people.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine was asking me the other day, like, how do you like get referrals? Because like 19% of our clients in the first quarter came from referrals, and people was like, well, do a training on how to, get referrals. And I was like, well, it'll be a short training, because all I would say is take care of your people, right? Take good care of people and help them get results. Training over with, you know what I'm saying? So customer service. And then last, you got to know metrics. So when you're in the streets, like when everything is based on math. So when I first got into the streets, I grew up listening to UGK, 8 Ball, and MJG, all that, right? And you always heard about had the fattest sacks on the block and all that. So when I jumped out in the streets, I was focused on having the fattest sacks on the block. So when I was bagging up, I just had the big sacks, but I wasn't making no money. I just have enough to go re-up, maybe a little less. And one of my big homie was like, man, why are you just bringing back? And he wasn't like front man, it was my own money, but he was just looking out for me. So he was like, man, why are you only able to get the same thing? Like, what's going on? So I showed him what I was doing, and he was like, bro, you putting too much of these. You got to bag each one of them. You got to weigh each bag up. Even the bag weighs something. So you got to know, here's how much you're putting in there. The bag weighs this. So every bag should weigh this. So that way you can spend 50, you bag up 100, then you bag up 100, then you spend 100, you bag up 200, you spend 200, you bag up 400. Now you can see your money, but you got to use the scale, and here's how you use it. And it's the same thing with business. Most businesses fail, and most people can't scale or grow a business simply because they don't know their numbers. They don't know their metrics, right? So I asked most people, how much are you paying per lead right now? They couldn't tell me. How much are you paying per application right now if they don't like a phone call system? They couldn't tell me. How much are you paying to get a client right now? They couldn't tell me. How much does it cost you to create and fulfill this product and get it out to somebody? They couldn't tell me. What is your conversion rates on on this, on your landing page, the phone, or your webinar, or whatever? Most of them couldn't tell me. They just kind of throwing things at the wall. So it's just like that. You got to know your metrics. So those are the same things. All of those skills are directly transferable. Hopefully I didn't go too long, bro.
No, this is good. This is the master class. I told y'all it was gonna be worth sitting and paying attention, even if you're watching the replay of this, and plug early. That's why you should, if you have, I want to know for the people who are hanging out with us live, drop it in the comment section. If you have seen an ad from Marquel show up in your social media feed. I just want to test the room, test the waters. Just if you've seen one, hop in the comment section. Let me know if you've seen an ad from Marquel show up in your feed. So I got to ask you about perception, about confidence, about being an entrepreneur in this space. You have these events. The highlights. Whoever does your videography does an amazing job. You have these events, and these people come to the events to learn from you, for you to teach them. How much did you wrestle with perception of who you are? And you have people who have spent maybe their career in marketing and in sales and have gone to school for this, and they for however they got into the space of the funnel, they're at your event. And sometimes there might even be pushback on what you're teaching or you're training. Did people just say, okay, I see his receipts, no questions asked? Or did you at some point or another feel maybe some pushback in what you were teaching and how you were presenting the brand of who you are?
For sure. So and speaking to the highlight reels for my events, shout out to LRP Films, Kev, and the whole crew. So at LRP Films, if y'all didn't get your video and stuff and all that stuff together. So yeah. So to answer your question, so when I first came online, right, one of my biggest hangups was because it was a white dominated space. So I was like, who's going to listen to the black guy talks a little fast from Atlanta? Tats on my neck, all on my arms. So I didn't like come into this and go get goals and tats. So this is how I kind of came in, right? So I was like, who's gonna listen to me? Right? I don't even have a high school diploma, let alone a degree. Because I'm hearing a lot of these cats who were dominating, they had money in real estate, and the real estate market crashed, and then they got into, like, I didn't come from that world. They came from corporate America. None of that. My story was completely different. So I was like, who's going to listen to me? So I did wrestle with that. And then by me coming out of network marketing, it was the suit thing. So everybody had to wear suits. So when I first started speaking at events and stuff like that, I wore a suit, like a whole, like sometimes you watch some of my old stuff and I got like a 3-piece on with the vest and, and everything with the Stacey Adams shoes, like I was going to church. Yeah. And then I started evolving a little bit. So I started doing like a blazer and like some slacks and then like some loafers or whatever the case may be. And I started realizing like, I don't even got to do that. Like I can just wear, like, I can just show up like me. Like I like white Air Force Ones, I like 95 Air Max, I like, True Religion jeans and polo shirts and hoodies. I can show up just like that in front of 400 or 500 people and just be me and talk about the world where I come from and connect that to business and talk about experiences that I had and connect that to business. And not only did people appreciate it, it actually helped them connect it and they got it and they resonated with it. And it was a breath of fresh air. But it took me actually just getting comfortable in my own skin and then realizing like I didn't have to be like nobody else. And I understood that. I learned that professionalism is results. It's not how you dress. It's not how you talk. It's none of that. It's results. It's receipts. So to answer your other question, is like you can't argue with those receipts. Now, do some people still are standoffish? Yeah. Some people say, I have people in my comments on our ads sometimes, and they'll be like, well, I always was told, you never trust somebody with gold teeth. Right. And I mean, that's fine. Like I don't got time to be arguing with nobody and trying to change nobody's perspective and all that. And that's cool. And I got some clients who are doctors and lawyers and super successful. And they like the fact that you had goals and you were still, able to talk that talk and it made sense and you was eloquent. That's what made me pull the trigger because you had goals and how you was doing it. So do I take my goals out and go get the Gucci Mane all whites, right? And the veneers or whatever and try to fit into those people who was told, don't trust people with goals, or do I just be me and I attract those individuals to me? And I just found that it was just way easier to just be me, and those who don't resonate, I mean, they got problems with me. That really speaks more to them and who they are than me and who I am. Does that make sense?
It does. Man, that your story and your authenticity was the key, and I know a lot of people resonate with that. In this land, Marquel, in this land of social media and influencer marketing, there are a lot of gurus out there who kind of capture you into a system, and it's like a money drag, a money drain. You never see any of the results from buying into their ecosystem. It's just kind of one thing that leads to another, that leads to another. I know some people, may have seen an ad, may have seen a post, may have seen a video, and there may be some skepticism there. And you mentioned receipts before. Let's talk about receipts. I watched the video. April Beverly, one of our Courageous Conversations alums.
Nice. That's family. April is family.
Yeah. So she was on Courageous Conversations about a month ago, talking about her story.
The $1 million word stylist.
Listen, no, she plays no games. No games. So I saw a video. She gave, promo shout out, talk about the work that you've done together. Like, man, credibility there. Can you give us some of those, like the stories? The stories of a person X came from this situation, came from this setup. They got into our program. It changed their life. Reframed their legacy. Had them thinking about switch careers. One of those stories where it's like, yeah, this is why I do what I do.
Man, how much time we got, man? How many you want me to do, man? I'll
Yeah,
start
give
with
me two. Give me two.
I'll do you two. So I'll start with one of the craziest ones, right? So my guy, most people it's really hard to believe. So 2 years ago, I was hosting an event that I do every year, and we do it more frequently now because I partnered with a company, an organization called Next Level Boys Academy. But I was doing a youth event, and I was looking. I had Eric Thomas coming to speak, and I saw this young brother who I was super impressed with at the George Frazier's event.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to his mom, and I was like, "How can I get him down?" And I was kind of working out the specifics. He had never shared the stage with ET before, so I was like, all right. She was like, "Well, if you can make a connection and get them to meet, that would be worth me flying them out from Germany." So I'm like, "Consider it done." I made a phone call. Consider it done. It's done. So they came down. He was 12 at the time. He came down and spoke about stocks, so forth and so on. Long story short, we stayed in contact. About 6 months later, he reached out. He texted me. It was like, "Hey man, can you mentor me?" So I'm like, "Of course." So we jumped on the call. He already had some gurus and stuff who was teaching him, different stuff because he was already like a Les Brown public speaker and all this. So I showed him a simpler way to do it. And I'm like, "You can start charging $3,000 for this if you do it this way." Mm. He was like, Mr. Marquel, man, he was like, "By the time I turn 13, I want to make 6 figures." He followed everything I told him to do, like literally to the T. By the time he turned 13, a little after his birthday, he had made 104,000.
Wow.
Right. Now his mom said he charges $1,300 an hour for consulting right now with a minimum of 3 hours. He's 14. He's 14 years old. He makes probably a couple $100,000 a year. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like I said, he's 14 now. So I'll give you another one. And this one is really cool because a lot of this happened like right in the midst of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And this young lady named Dr. Jasmine, she actually is a doctor. So she was like front line the whole way through the pandemic, front line the whole time. So she probably maybe had about 2 to 3 hours per week to work her business. Right. So within about 6 months time, I was working together. Mind you, she only had 2 or 3 hours a week to work her business. She was able to she made 30 grand her first 30 days. And then she made 6 figures within 6 months. Right. She exceeded her income as a doctor within 6 months with only like 2 to 3 hours a week per work. Now, here's the coolest thing. Because she was working so much with the pandemic going on, she was also able to retire her husband. Right. And then they started getting some more real estate. They were able to buy more real estate. And now her husband could be at home with the kids while she was frontline when the pandemic was going on. And he could just handle the real estate properties that they had. And she also retired her mom so her mom could come on board and help with the business.
Wow.
Really cool stuff, right?
and I know you got, I know we could go on for hours.
I could go on forever.
Telling the story. I want to ask you this last piece, and then I wanted to get into, making the connection and offering to this community and this live to how to connect with you and work with you. One more piece. I was watching a video. You were doing some work relative to scripting, and you were challenging the individuals. It was about confidence. Mm-hmm. You said you can have the greatest script, but if you don't come at it with the right energy and right perspective, no one's going to buy from you. So can you kind of walk through how many people you see that you coach or you mentor or you train that maybe they have a great, good product or service. Mm-hmm. So the work is more so in the confidence space. Yep. and how you help them leverage that.
Yeah, for sure. So that particular example, and I always say, like, the more your confidence is going to make you more sales than what you say ever will. Like your level of confidence and how you present the thing. Because typically when people are buying from you, they're buying based on your confidence that you can actually help them, especially if you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're an agency, or you provide some type of service like that, right? They're buying based on your confidence that you can actually help them. So they got to buy into that. If you seem all timid and all that, they ain't gonna buy because they're kind of timid, right? So if you're timid, they're timid, or if they're more certain than you, right? Then you're not going to be able to influence them because the person that's most certain in a communication, they're always going to influence the other person, right? So that's why we always tell businesses, like, here's one thing, here's a fact about business. Most people would disagree with me and they don't want to hear this because most people, they want to know, what do I say in my ads? What targeting should I do? What should I say on the phone? What should I say? They want to know all that type of stuff. But in
Yeah.
reality, business is only 1% that stuff. Business is only like, I call it 90-10. Business is only 10%, like what you say, your ads, your offer, your logos, your sales team. It's just 10%. 90% is the inner game stuff.
Ooh.
90% of business is the inner game stuff, like how you think, how you're showing up, your confidence, your biology, how you taking care of yourself, what you eat and what you put into your body, how much water you're drinking. Like that's 90% of the business. LeBron James, the brother, invests $2 million in his body every single year, right?
Yeah.
That's the inner game stuff. Like after the championship is over, they might go out, drink a couple bottles of wine, have a couple cigars, but the rest of the time he training ready for the rest of the season. That's the inner game stuff. That's how the brother, LeBron, like 36, 37, something like that, 18, 19 years in the NBA, still in tip-top shape, probably go another 10 years if you want to, full throttle. That's the inner game stuff. You don't do that. That's not just skill. That's not just on the court. That's the inner game stuff. That's not the coach. That's the Black Mamba mentality. You feel me?
Yeah.
So it's the inner game stuff. That's what separates the mediocre and the elite. The inner game stuff. How they think, how they're wired, how they operate, all that good stuff. So Jim Rohn said this quote when I was introduced to Jim Rohn when I was in network marketing. Jim Rohn said you got to work on yourself harder than you're doing your job. And in this context, we're talking about your business. So you got to be working on yourself harder than you do on your business. If not, your problems will become bigger than you. And if your problems become bigger than you, they will swallow you whole and you won't make it.
Listen, we got to cut it off because you just gave the people, you dropped the keys. My guy, my LinkedIn coach, Rob YB Youngblood is how we got connected. So, I mean, he's saying you're dropping major diamonds.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you. We got me and YB got to get together, man. He messaged me. We got to get together.
Got to get with YB, man. That's and actually, Courageous Conversations Live at the space on LinkedIn came as a result of YB's coaching. So shout out to YB for that.
YB.
Gotta end on this, Marquel. Give it to us, man. This is shameless plug. We got your website underneath your name, but you have other offers and spaces and social media handles for people to connect with you. So let me ask you first, who should make that connection? Who should go to the website? Who should click on the LinkedIn profile? And what are the other ways to get connected to you?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So we mainly, our superpower is working with, like, if you're a coach, you're a consultant. And let me say this, a consultant is by definition is someone who makes money based on their advice. Yeah. Right. So this means if you're a coach, you make money based on your expertise. So you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're a speaker, you're an author, you have an agency, right? Or you do some type of service that's come based on your expertise. That's who we work with, right? So if that's you, we got a couple different options that you could do. Of course, you see the links that you can tap on, but a couple additional things I want to give you as a bonus, right? So number one, depending on when you take advantage of this, next week, April 17th, we're doing an event. It's called the Client Attraction Made Easy Virtual Boot Camp. So if you want to know our exact systems and how we help our clients do over $250 million in revenue, we're going to be breaking that down during our 5-hour event. You can actually go grab a ticket for free, right? So you can go register for free right now. Now there are some upgrade opportunities and so forth if you want to up level your experience, but you don't have to, because I want to just eliminate any barriers from people getting access to this information. So if you go to clientattractionmadeeasy.com, so that's clientattractionmadeeasy.com, you can go actually get registered for free. So that's number one. So even if you see this after this training or whatever, I also want to give you our paid ad playbook. So that's paidadplaybook.com, and you'll get access to our exact playbook on how to get 50 to 100 leads every single day. So if you want more leads for your business, you want more clients, and not only just leads, we're going to show you how to convert those leads into clients. You're going to get this for free as well if you go to paidadplaybook.com. So clientattractionmadeeasy.com, paidadplaybook.com, both invaluable resources, right? I'm telling you, the Paid Ad Playbook is more valuable than a lot of these $1,000 and $2,000 courses online right now. I know it because I bought most of them, right? So paidadplaybook.com. And then lastly, if you want Instagram, I got a bonus gift for you. If you go to Instagram, my Instagram is just Marquel Russell, my name, MarquelRussell. If you go to there, click on the blue follow button, and come lead with me over there. I don't really say follow me because I don't really believe in that type of thing. I don't want followers. I want like leaders to connect with and build with. So if you come over there and connect with me, click on the little blue button click on message, and then let me know that you saw me on the Courageous Conversations. I'm showing my guy Pierre, and I got another bonus gift for you as well. Just for connecting with me on Instagram.
Listen, y'all. Marquel, I held you a little bit longer.
It's all good, man. I had time, bro. I got time. We could have went long. I got time, bro. This is good.
We definitely got to do a part two, a follow-up conversation, a deeper dive. Listen, you've been watching on Courageous Conversations live. You're watching the replay of this. This is what you came for today. This is the insight, the perspective, and what's going to happen as a result of connecting with Marquel is exactly what you need. So, man, Client Attraction King, man, thank you so much, Marquel, for hanging out with us, for dropping the mini masterclass that you shared with us today. I look forward to our next conversation. I want to thank you for everybody who's going to reach out and connect, who's going to go to the next level and take that next step with you and be a part of your clients' success stories. Thanks for hanging out, man. And we'll talk again soon. Okay.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me.